Please welcome to the session on Best Employers for Women. Absolutely delighted to be here. My compliments, first of all, to the 4 CEOs who have joined us. The first one is Mr. Rishi Gaur, country president for Sodexo India. In case were you able to meet Mr. Rishi Gaur during lunch? Can we give him a hand, please? We would next like to compliment somebody who has been here already through the morning session. Mr. Derek Nazareth, Country Head India of Excel Catlin. Absolutely delighted. I was talking to Mr. Derek Nazareth just before lunch, and I explained to him it was so nice to have the CEOs here. And then he said to me, ever since you came to our office and you explained to us everything about the work that needs to be done in Excel Catlin, we have decided that we're going to finish the job. So thank you very much for all of your presence. I think it sends a huge message to everybody, and that's what we're looking for. We want to also invite now our compliments to Ms. Neela Bhattacharjee, Managing Director, Excelia Kale. Please come. Neela has been with us through the morning, and thank you very much for taking out the time. And then I would like to invite Mr. K.G. Ananthakrishnan, President and Managing Director of MSD Pharma. Please give him a hand. So this is our most excellent panel today for the Will Best Employers session. I want you to know that the Will Best Employers is not done easily. It's a very difficult job. As I said in the morning to some of the people who are speaking, we don't have any selection of best employers. We don't select. That's not the way to do best employers. You benchmark best employers. You benchmark them according to something. And the reason why we're able to do it is because of the book that we wrote on leadership by proxy. I have outlined in chapter number 10 very clearly how best employers for women should be defined. You know, and I don't think the rest of the world has given us any kind of a benchmark on how should they be defined. What is a best employer? We tried in the morning. I think Mr. Chetan Tolia gave us some guidance. Dinanath gave us some guidance from TCS. But you know, Shalini Pillai gave us some guidance. But the reality is that a best employer for women, you got to put some metrics on it. Otherwise, how are you going to choose? You know, subjective is good, but at the end of the day, when you want to slice your equation, you got to have some numbers on it. And I've tried to put a number on it, which we will subsequently I put that in my book on the basis of which we're doing this Best Employer segment. We also did it last year. And it's called 40% women in the workforce, 20% women in the top band, gender quotient index greater than 1. And it is in this order. You can't have a gender quotient index greater than 1 and not do step 1 and step 2. It's not possible. Graph is a very important graph for me. It's called the gender maturity curve for companies, you know. And until we make this graph, we actually don't know what we are doing. And I'm on record, because I write my book, so I'm on record saying that 80% of corporate India is at the lowest level of the gender maturity curve. Now, I say this with a lot of conviction, because I know exactly what I'm saying. Based upon what I just said in terms of best employers, 80% of India, which includes multinationals operating here, are on the lowest level. What does the lowest level mean? The lowest level means that you're still making a lot of noise. I call it noise for lack of any other word. Awareness, HR, safety measures, maternity leave. This is the noise part. I'm saying noise because it can easily be removed. You can remove it by taking the handbook of the 50 best practices for women in the workplace, which we wrote in 2008. You can put the 50 best practices and your noise will stop. You don't have to say anything once you put it. But if you haven't put it, you could put 5%, 10%, 15%, but you have to put the 50 best practices. And then you will not be discussing this issue anymore because you will be rolling it out. Now, you could take 10 years. You could take 2 years. But you have to get it done. Only then you will move up. Now, on the mid-level of the gender maturity curve, there are companies that are moving up. Those are the companies that have moved from the noise level to what I call validate and verify, which means that they are ready to validate that their companies are putting in the best practices, right? Now, this is the kind of companies that I think we can give a Best Employer for Women award to, because number one, the key things that identify the companies on the mid-level are, number one, the CEO is the custodian. So you moved from HR to CEO. The CEO becomes the custodian, and the very fact that we've got our CEOs today here tells me that these are best employer companies, because that is the single most designation of companies that are moving up to the mid-level. The other thing is that they validate and verify. So all of the companies here have done the will benchmarking. Now, there's no such thing as being good or bad. In best practices, you're always trying to raise the bar, but you have validated exactly where you're standing and where you need to go. That's an important part for us for a best employer for women, or a best employer for any company. It's not about what you got right. It's about what you got wrong. That is what you need to fix. It's not about how well you did. It's about how far do you want to go. Is this really what you want to do, or do you want to shoot for something higher? It's really about how far you want to go. And that's, again, a good feature of our best employers for women.